In academic writing, how do you make your most important ideas really stand out? Well, there's this powerful and, I think, really elegant technique called sentence inversion. It's a subtle change in your sentence structure that can add some serious weight and formality to your arguments. It really makes them impossible to ignore. So let's dive in and see how it works. It's a question every writer faces, right? You've got a solid point, but how do you give it the spotlight it deserves? How do you signal to your reader, hey, pay attention, this is the crucial part? Well, the answer is all about mastering the art of emphasis. Just take a look at this example. A standard sentence might say, students rarely consider long-term environmental impacts. It's fine, it's grammatically correct. But look what happens when we invert it. Rarely do students consider long-term environmental impacts. The whole tone just changes, doesn't it? The emphasis jumps right to the word rarely, and that makes the statement so much more dramatic and authoritative. It goes from a simple observation to a really powerful statement. Okay, so what is inversion exactly? At its heart, it's just a deliberate change to the normal word order of a sentence. And it's designed for one main reason, to create a big effect. Simply put, inversion is the technique of flipping the usual subject plus verb order that we're all used to. By moving a keyword or phrase to the very front of the sentence, we're basically forcing the reader's attention right onto that specific idea. It gives it immediate emphasis. So let's look at the structure. It's kind of like a formula. A normal sentence usually follows a subject plus verb order. But with inversion, we start with an adverb. Then we add what's called an auxiliary verb, like do or was, and then we get to the subject and the main verb. Let's see how this actually plays out with some common patterns. All right, now let's build up your toolkit for creating emphasis. There are several common words and phrases that basically act as triggers for inversion. If you can master these patterns, you'll be able to use this technique really effectively in your own writing. Okay, a classic pattern to start with uses negative adverbs like rarely or seldom. These words are just perfect for highlighting how infrequent something is. By putting them right at the beginning, you immediately signal that what you're describing is an exception to the rule, and that makes your statement much more impactful. For example, instead of saying researchers rarely publish incomplete data, the inverted form becomes rarely do researchers publish incomplete data. See what happened? We moved rarely to the front, and we added the little helper verb do. It's a small change, but it really elevates a simple statement into a much stronger, more definitive claim. Next up is not only. Now, this one is incredibly useful in academic writing because it lets you emphasize two connected ideas. It's a signal to the reader that the first point is important, and hey, the second point is just as significant. The result is a much more sophisticated sentence. Not only did the study improve medical understanding, but it also influenced policy. This structure is so elegant. It connects two equally important outcomes, which makes it a fantastic tool for analyzing things like cause and effect or for discussing results that have multiple parts. Now for a very formal and authoritative trigger, under no circumstances. This phrase is all about expressing a strong prohibition. It leaves absolutely no room for doubt. It's perfect for when you're discussing rules, ethics, or important guidelines. Compare the standard, researchers must not ignore ethical standards, with the inverted version, under no circumstances should researchers ignore ethical standards. You can feel the difference, can't you? The inverted version just carries this undeniable weight and formality. It turns a guideline into an unbreakable rule. Our next pattern is only after. This structure is excellent when you want to emphasize a necessary sequence of events. It really highlights that one action had to be completed before another one could even start. So the inverted sentence, only after additional experiments did scientists confirm the hypothesis, puts all the emphasis on that precondition, the additional experiments. It clarifies the order of events and just tells a much clearer story of process and discovery. All right, ready for a more advanced pattern? This one uses the word so. Now, this isn't the so we use as a connector. Instead, it's used with an adjective to emphasize the degree or the extent of something and the result that followed. And the result is this highly sophisticated structure. So complex was the data that many researchers struggled to interpret it. This single elegant sentence directly links the cause, the complexity, with its effect, the struggle. This is a true sign of advanced analytical writing. So, Now that you have the tools, let's see how they actually work in practice. We're going to look at how you can apply these patterns to level up your own writing, moving from some simple applications to more advanced and sophisticated ones. You can see a really clear progression here. You can start with a simple inversion like rarely do students, just to make a point. Then, as you get more comfortable, you can use an intermediate form like only after to describe a process. And the goal is to build towards those advanced structures like so significant were to really analyze the profound impact of something. Each step adds a whole new layer of sophistication to your writing. Okay, let's wrap this up by talking about why this all matters. Learning sentence inversion, it's not just a grammar exercise. It's a strategic tool that can have a real, measurable impact on your academic journey. So why should you master this skill? Well, because inversion lets you strategically emphasize your key ideas. It adds variety to your writing, which makes it less boring to read. It makes you sound more formal and academic. And ultimately, all of these things combine to strengthen your arguments, making them more persuasive and, well, more memorable. And it's so important to remember this. Advanced academic writing isn't just about learning fancy vocabulary. Mastering your sentence structure and knowing how and when to create emphasis, that's what really elevates good writing to the level of great writing. But a final, crucial piece of advice. Think of inversion like a powerful spice. A little bit adds incredible flavor and impact, but if you use too much, you'll just overwhelm the whole dish. So you want to use it strategically and sparingly, only for those key moments when you really need an idea to land with maximum authority. So, as we finish, I'll leave you with this question to think about for your own work. The next time you're writing an essay or preparing a presentation, just ask yourself, which of my ideas is the most important one here? Which one truly deserves this kind of emphasis?